Okay, so our second question then, Rachel. Another thing I wanted to talk about was your Instagram and Substack presence online. And you've got quite a strong online presence. It looks really, really good. And I just wanted to ask how important this has been to your writing career, and then I suppose to the Space Poetic as well. How much value do you place on that online presence?
I think it's difficult to quantify the difference that it makes. Certainly, it's an endeavor that I set about quite consciously earlier this year, having read
Yeah,
a lot of different sort of writer interviews and people suggesting that having a strong online presence is a good way of attracting attention, a good way of promoting your work. So it was something that I really wanted to create. And in terms of sort of building a career as well, and you ask sort of how effective or not it's been for my career. And I think as an emerging writer, possibly it's a bit too early still to
okay.
tell.
Yeah.
But what I hope that it does is really sort of lay a good foundation,
Mhm.
and certainly by putting it together and putting my portfolio pages together and having sort of a place where I can talk about the things that I've had published and some of my
Yeah.
experiences along the way has kind of really helped on a very personal kind of intrinsic level to
Okay.
solidify that practice within myself. I think
Okay. Yeah.
sometimes being a writer can feel very um like ethereal or flimsy. Like it's this thing that I kind of do over here. And sometimes there are really big gaps between publication. Sometimes you're able to write loads, and then sometimes life gets in the way and you
Yeah.
can't write for a couple of months. And actually kind of bringing all of that together into one really visible kind of cohesive artifact, be it an online one, kind
Yeah.
of really gave me this grounding
Mhm.
that gave me faith in the fact that I really am this thing. I really do this thing, and
Yeah.
these are the outputs that I have in the world, and here are the things that I love, and here are the
Mhm.
things that I've had published, and here are the things that I think, and the things that I've grown, like Space Poetic, and some of the other clubs and
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that I've been like starting up this year and running, and actually that has done a huge amount for me on a personal level.
Yeah, like you really are doing it. It is really happening.
Yeah, it makes me
Yeah,
feel a bit more real, I
yeah.
suppose, rather than just kind of going around and I don't know. Every now and then someone asks what you do, and you're like, "I'm a writer, I think."
Probably, possibly, yeah.
Mostly I'm a climber, but
And there's nothing wrong with that, no. And I
yeah.
suppose one thing that you hear about as well is people talking about their kind of writers' CVs and their writers' portfolios and what they've published and what they're working on and where their successes have been. And I suppose it's just a public, an easily accessible public record of that, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, and what I hope is, so when I do come to putting together a pamphlet and taking that to publishers, I will
Yes.
be able to say, oh, look, and here is all the work that I've been doing.
Yeah,
Here
yeah.
you can see that I've got this online presence, I've got this Substack, here's all the places I've been published
Mhm.
before.
Yeah,
Like it's out there, it's real. I've got subscribers, I've got followers, there's community that's built up around some of the
yeah,
events I run, and hopefully all of that will then kind of obviously my poems will have to speak for themselves,
yeah,
and I would always expect them to do so. But we all know it's really difficult to get published, and
yeah.
the more that you've got that can kind of attract the attention of publishers and agents and sort of showcase the credentials, for want of a better word,
Yeah.
that you have as a writer, I think the better chances you have of succeeding.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like you say, your work will speak for itself, and it does. Obviously, that's why we chose it in the first place. But yes, having that online presence already, it is a draw for modern publishers because it can only help, it can't hinder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
I think it's been a really good thing that I've done. I think the work with it is actually to find the balance. So when I
Yeah,
first sort of set everything up, I really went hard into this process of like I'm going to create a Substack and it's going to be this, and I'm going to create this space, and I'm going to have this on the Instagram and this over here. And for anyone who does go through my Substack, you'll be able to see that I run writing workshops and I
yeah,
host online community writing spaces and things like that.
mhm.
And I went very hard into kind of creating all of this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and worked horrific hour weeks, and really kind of burnt myself out. And I think the thing to remember, I suppose, or my nugget of advice for anyone who's wanting to do something similar is to kind of set yourself like a limit of how much that
Okay.
you would do on it. Like I certainly found
Mhm.
that, and possibly because I'm quite neurodivergent as well, sort of very, very deep dived and sort of burnt out with it a little bit. And I think yeah, the online spaces can absolutely just keep taking because there's
Yeah.
always a need for more content. There's always a need for something new and something
Mhm.
fresh, and there's always going to be that competition. But competition, I don't like that word actually. I would take that word back. I would edit that word because I strongly believe that like poetry is this big beautiful table, right, that we can all sit at. We're not in
Okay.
competition with each
It's
other
a
as writers.
collaboration rather than a competition. Yeah.
Absolutely. And but I think sometimes in the online world you can find yourself surrounded by all these amazing spaces and
Yeah.
feel that pressure that I have to
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
something new and I have to bring something exciting all the time.
Mhm.
And actually that isn't true. And to follow that will, I think, lead to burnout and sort of
Okay.
difficulties. And I
Yeah.
think setting yourself some good healthy boundaries um around the creation of online spaces is good so that you can try and keep it in balance with the rest of your life.
I think that's really, really good advice. I like that nugget of advice there. Yeah, so the motivation is excellent, but making sure it's tethered enough so that you can maintain consistency. Is that maybe a good way of saying it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think the thing that I noticed earlier this year was that I actually there was a point where I was writing more on Substack than I was writing any
Then you
poems.
were writing, yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I sort of came out, it's about a month long period of time or something like that. And I suddenly was like, hang on, I've put all this stuff on the internet. I
Yeah.
haven't written a single poem, haven't even redrafted or gone and read any of my own poems.
Yeah.
And was like, wow, that's a really interesting other
Yeah.
bit of balance. I think particularly as sort of working class writers, I work shift work, so that
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
presents sort of
Yeah.
challenges in terms of routine and so you already only have these little pockets of time that you
Yeah.
can write in often because that's the unpaid work and to suddenly create a whole another load of work that you're going to fill those times with
Yeah.
can easily eat into that writing time and so I think it's just really important to kind of take care of
Yeah.
that space.
Protect that. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Finding that balance and yeah, the balance between I'm writing for my Substack and I'm writing either for me or for my poetry or for whatever it is, my pamphlet that I'm putting together. Yeah, too much of one and not the other. It's just like anything, isn't it? It's trying to strike that balance. It's hard. I feel like
Absolutely.
as a writer and in the publishing world, you're constantly trying to walk that tightrope, aren't you, between too much and not enough and not enough money and too much time spent here and too little time spent there, and it's just difficult, isn't it?
Yep,
But
that's very familiar.
yeah, but some really helpful information there, some really good advice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.